Hi, Mike Hendricks here, and today we're going to talk about back pain. Okay, so it's a question that I often get asked in terms of back pain and how can it be remedied. Now, I'm going to talk to you today about certain things that I believe that's often overlooked when it comes to remedying back pain. It's a very common problem for many guys that spend a lot of time sat at a desk or driving for a long period of time and they get stiff back. I myself in the past have struggled with back problems, but let's just take you through just 2 or 3 areas that I think is important that you need to understand if you're going to remedy and help improve your back problem or any sort of back issue that you may have. Now, first of all, I think it's important that you understand what the back is or what the spine is, so you have a basic understanding of anatomy and physiology. If you've ever been to a physio or ever been to a chiropractor, they may have to talk to you about it, but you need to understand the spine and how it works. Now, the spine, as you know, is a big set of bones or vertebrae that run through the back, sectioned into 3. Cervical spine, top half, then you've got your thoracic spine, and then you've got your lumbar spine. Now, the spine, when it's not working problem, will offer pain. So understanding how the spine works and how it's structured and how it should be ideally structured will put you in a much better position to get it working the way it should. Now, we've talked about those 3 sections of the spine. They have a degree of movement. Some has rotation, some has flexion and extension. But when those are not working properly, so you may have some sort of tightness or stiffness or restriction due to the ligaments or poor circulation of fluids that sit in between in those vertebral discs, that's when problems occur. So one of the first things you need to understand is about ideal alignment of the spine, both in a static position, so what it should ideally be positioned like when you're sat down, and also when you're moving, so when you're doing any sort of form of exercise. Posture, often thought about as something just static, but posture can be sectioned into either a static posture or a dynamic posture. So it's understanding what your posture should be like when you're doing something, i.e. moving, and what your posture should ideally be like when you're static, when you're sat down, when you're not doing anything at all. For many of us, it's kind of just like a slouch, but we're not here to talk about just slouching today. So understanding your posture. 2 is obviously exercise. Now, you have to, when I say exercise, I'm using this in a very broad sense of the word. It is to move your body. Okay, if you're spending a lot of time sat down, sedentary, not doing any form of moving, that's going to impact directly on the spine. The spine and the vertebral discs that sit in between the vertebrae rely on movement to help pump and remove fluid in and out and nutrients in and out in and around their function. Now, if you're sat down for a long period of time, you're actually restricting that flow and that moving of fluids in between and to those discs. So it's important that you move. Now, obviously, as an exercise coach, I would encourage you to do exercise, but just moving, getting up, walking around. So if you are a person who, for a long period of time, is sat down at the desk, getting up and just moving around, doing a few simple stretches, creating a nice gap between the vertebral disc or the vertebrae. So doing some stretches, doing some reaches will all help alleviate, relieve, reduce that stiffness, that tightness caused by just sat down. 3rd, and very important as well, is obviously your diet and nutrition. How are you fueling your body? What sort of foods are you taking on board to help it promote a good nutritional benefit to the body? Are you eating processed foods? Are you eating highly refined foods? What foods are you actually giving your body? Obviously, the better quality of those foods, the better your body is going to be at absorbing those foods and utilizing those foods more effectively. Now, nutrition is very important. I myself recently just going back to doing some training, as you may have heard on recent videos, that because I had inflammation in my elbow and it was causing me some serious discomfort and pain, I couldn't do any sort of lifting, which is obviously a source of frustration. Now, if obviously you're suffering with something very similar in your lower back, you know exactly where I'm coming from in terms of how frustrating that can be. Now, having a diet that is beneficial, that is more conducive to you putting your body in what we term an alkaline state, is going to help to reduce that inflammation. Now, inflammation is actually important in the sense that it's your body's way of communicating with you and actually it's telling you that there's a healing process that's being undertaken, it's actually underway. But what often happens is that inflammation stays for longer than it should, and that is not helped by the diet that many of us have. So one of the things that you can think about doing and help to reduce that inflammation and speeding up that recovery process is having less starchy and processed foods in your diet. These type of foods that are very refined, very highly processed, don't offer you very much in the way of nutritional value. So it's important that you reduce those. Things that you need to start introducing more into your diet and having more of is very green, rich foods. So we've talked about kale, we've talked about sprouts, talked about broccoli, talked about green cabbage, all these type of things that are gonna help promote your body to be in a more alkaline state, and also getting a good source of omega-3s and omega-9s into your body as well. So good fats basically. So we're talking about sources like almonds, salmon, if you like fish, avocados. They are all good sources of omega-3s and omega-9s, and again that will help that recovery process, help reduce the inflammation process and get you back to feeling a lot better, taking that discomfort and pain that you may be struggling with over a period of time. So it's A, understanding the spine, understanding how it works in terms of ideal positioning. B, obviously moving your body. You're gonna hear me saying that forever, but it's true. And third, C, looking at your nutrition, making sure you're eating foods that's gonna aid your body to help that recovery and that repairing process. Okay, don't forget to let me know, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, share this video, and I will see you next time. One love, keep it moving.
One red down here in a Babylon. So me I give it to you in a parable.